So for setting up a WebEx call, you have two ports here, HDMI, USB. Both of these have to be plugged into the PC. Plug USB in, plug HDMI in. Okay, both of those are plugged in. To use PC conference can only be done from the Albany room, the one with two ports on the jacks down there. This room over here is not set up for PC conference. Took the iPads off the wall for convenience. So this is Atlanta room. This is Albany room. So first of all, we're going to start just this room. Click the iPad. No, we're not using both rooms. Screen will drop. Projector will come on. So we're going to choose PC conference. You have a couple instructions here on the screen. Basically saying plug those cables into your computer. Which they are plugged into my computer. Projector is booting up. There's my screen for my computer there. As far as any other controls on the iPad, you can unmute the speakers. That would be the speakers in the room. You may unmute the beamformer if the audience sitting at the tables out here need to talk. The beamformer is located there. It turns red when muted and blue when unmuted. We're currently only using the Albany room. This room is not turned on and can be used separate if another group is on the other side. Alright, so let me move my mouse around here. Alright, so you want to start a WebEx call. First of all, you're going to load your WebEx account or the email that you have to join the meeting. Me, I'm just going to log into my WebEx. I'm going to host a meeting here. And I'm going to start my meeting. Notice everything that I'm doing on the computer is on the screen. Once I'm in the room, I want to connect my audio. So you may get this message here. You can start a test to make sure your audio is working. On your speakers, you'll usually have three options here. Choose the one that says Converge USB. On the microphone, choose the one that says Converge USB, which is this USB cable here, which will take these microphones here and put them back into your meeting. It'll also take whoever's talking back to the speakers in the room. So I'm just going to hit OK. All right. So now I'm in the meeting. I'll grab handheld A or belt pack A. Belt pack B and handheld B cannot be used when only using this room. You turn the microphone on with the switch here. You can talk into the microphone. It will come out of the speakers here, and it will also go into WebEx here. If you notice as I'm talking, the little sound icon right there lets me know that it's getting into WebEx. So that's how you start the WebEx. That's how you set your computer up. This is how you bring it on the screen. If you need to do a presentation through WebEx, I'm going to set the microphone down. Turn the microphone off. So to do a presentation, go to share content, share screen 1. Now this is being shared to everybody that's on the WebEx call. So you can also see that up here and on my computer. So the PC is basically hosting the WebEx meeting, running all the peripherals in the room. So any microphone here, belt pack A, handheld A. It's recommended to use belt pack if there's going to be a speaker in the room that is going to be speaking while doing a presentation on the screen. You will just clip this onto your shirt, turn the belt pack on, and you can talk. If you prefer, you can hold the handheld mic A. If the audience needs to communicate with anybody on the far end, there's a beamformer out in the audience. Those lights are not flashing currently. It is just the way the camera is looking at the lights. So they're red right now, so nobody can hear anything from there. If I want to unmute that beamformer, I have the option to do so here. It says beamformer. You just click that. Now if you walk back over to the microphone here, it is blue. So now anything that I say can be heard on the other side of the conference. Typically, if the audience has a question, you would unmute beamformer, let them talk. When they're done, mute beamformer back. Otherwise, anybody sitting out here at the tables, crinkling paper, is going to be picked up by that microphone and be heard on the other end. And that's how you start, set up a WebEx call, and share content. So we're going to start a WebEx meeting using both rooms. So this is the iPad for room Atlanta. This is the iPad for Albany. So we're going to come to the Albany room because we're going to use both rooms. We're going to fill this entire room with people in here, and we're going to have a video conference on WebEx. So what we would do is we would start. Are you using both rooms? Yes. This will start. Notice this iPad starts also, and that iPad. Both screens drop. Those projectors come on. Waiting on the projectors to boot up. They're currently coming on. Alright, so on here, while the projectors are booting up, you have a couple options over on this side here. You have your mic options, which will allow you to adjust the handheld mic A, handheld mic B, belt pack mic A, and belt pack mic B. This typically doesn't need to be adjusted. If you would like to, you have the option to turn it up and down, the sensitivity of the microphones themselves. Then you can close back out of that. So we're going to click on PC conference because that's what we're doing here. Note we have the HDMI here and the USB here plugged in, and this is in the Albany room. The Atlanta room does not have the functionality of doing a WebEx call unless it is started from the Albany room and plug your computer up to the cables, choose to use both rooms from the Albany room, and then you have the option to do video conference there and here. These cannot be separated. These cannot be separate video conference calls. It just basically duplicates both screens. Alright, so I already have my WebEx meeting loaded up here. First thing you want to do when you load the WebEx meeting is to check your audio connections. This was in the previous video that shows you basically to select Converge USB for your speakers and the Converge USB for your microphone. I've already done that, so I already have it in there. So now we need to share content to the far end. You may choose to share content and share whichever screen you would like to share. So now I'm currently sharing the content on both screens. That's there. If there's going to be a speaker in the room, you would use belt packs. You can use handhelds or belt packs. Belt packs are preferably used because that frees up both hands. This just clips on. Now in the previous video, we could only use these microphones, but when using both rooms, you can use these microphones also. So if I pick up handheld B here, turn this on. Now, all 4 of these microphones can be used at once. Doesn't matter which one you grab, as long as you're using both rooms, you can use all the microphones. So if I start talking in the microphone here, you can hear me in both rooms now. So if we have a lot of people in here, they would have no problem understanding what I'm saying at the front of the room. And also the people on the far end of the meeting could hear me also. It's recommended to use either the handhelds or the belt packs if you're standing in front of the room doing a presentation while on a WebEx call, because these microphones back here are used for the audience. These are beamformers. Now there is one in this room over here too, which is the Atlanta room. When we were using the Albany room only this microphone worked for the audience. Now since we're using both rooms, this microphone over here will work for the audience also. So to unmute those microphones, let me go ahead and set down this belt pack or handheld. You have a beamformer here. You just unmute. Now, this microphone and this microphone are now blue. So anybody sitting back over here in the corner can, talk to the person on the far end of the meeting if they have a question. Once the person's done talking, it's recommended that you mute the beamformer back. You can do that by just clicking that. Once it's red, you know it's muted. If it's red out here, you know those are muted. Don't leave these beamformers unmuted with, say 40, 50 people sitting in here. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of feedback on the other end of the call, because everybody's going to be shifting around in their chairs, rolling their chairs around, tapping on the desk, rattling paper, so on and so forth. So if nobody in the audience has a question, make sure beamformer is muted. Now if nobody can hear anything in the room, you have a volume slider here. This is the main volume slider. Notice the S right there beside it. That means the rooms are being shared. So we're using both rooms. So that's how you start a WebEx call set it up, share content while using both rooms. Note that you can use any microphone that you choose while using both rooms. So now I'm going to shut this down and I'm going to talk about the Atlanta room only. Before I do that, we have a couple options here. If you need to make an audio call, let me click on that. You may dial your number here, press the green button, and then it will call out that number. So anybody in both of these rooms here can be on the audio conference call. So that's the audio conference, PC conference, video conference. This is typically used if you're dialing a codec, another codec located somewhere else. You would dial your URL here, and you would press send, and then that's pretty much it. You just start talking, everybody can hear you. Typically everybody will use PC conference only. This way, if you have Hangouts, GoToMeeting, WebEx, Skype for Business, whatever you can think of that's on your computer, you can bring it into the room to use for video conferencing. Presentation. You have the option to use wireless presentation or wired presentation. Typically everybody will use wired presentation. Note when you click on wired presentation, you have room A and you have room B. Room A is the Albany room. Room B is the Atlanta room. You have to plug in the HDMI cable to whichever port you would like to use. Note we're still using both rooms. So I'm going to choose room A. Notice I still have the screens showing my computer. If I need to move over to room B, say I have another computer sitting over here that has different content on it, I'm still using both rooms. I may come over here and want to swap in between both computers, so I'd click room B, plug my next computer over there, and talk about that one. Wireless presentation. If you start a wireless presentation on here, it says follow the on-screen instructions to connect. You will go first of all to your Wi-Fi settings on your computer. Note we're in the Albany room. So we would scroll down. Waiting on my Wi-Fi to refresh here. Okay, so we have Albany room Wi-Fi. We'll hit connect. Alright, so once connected to the Albany room Wi-Fi, we have an IP address at the top up there. We're going to type that into a browser. It will load this. If you have administrative rights on your computer that blocks you from installing anything, you may choose to use the guest. Click Windows. It will download. Choose Keep. Once this is downloaded, I'm going to click on this and run it. It's going to load up. Let me plug my phone in. My battery's about to die. So here we have mirror op, Albany room, and we have to put in a passcode. Passcode is located at the top right hand corner of the screen. We're going to put in 2255. Press OK. Once you have that started, and you're connected to the Albany room, you can close, hit the play button, and then it will wirelessly display your screen. Once you're done, you can hit stop, and then you can close, and then you're done. Then it'll go back to that screen. That's how you use the wireless. So DVD player is located in the rack in the back. You'll have to get somebody to open up the rack, but you may choose DVD player, and it will load up here. The load disk, USB, you've got your settings. You have a navigation pad here to start, stop, pause, fast forward, rewind, go back home, menu, and exit. Simple controls for a DVD player. And that's pretty much it. So now we're going to go start just on this room over here. So now we're going to start in the Atlanta room. We're no longer using the Albany room. The Albany room will not be used while using this iPad. So anybody going into the Albany room with the partition up may use the Albany room for video conference. When only using the Atlanta room, we're going to go ahead and load this up. Are you using both rooms? No. Notice we only have presentation and we only have DVD player. This room is not set up to do video conference if it is not combined with the Albany room. So this room can only do presentation and only do a DVD player when used by itself. Notice we have a B where the volume slider is. That's for room B. We have handheld B, belt pack B. These may be used just for this room. You cannot use belt pack A or handheld A while using the Atlanta room only. So in here, you can do a presentation wired. You will plug into there, plug that into your PC. And I'm going to go ahead and close out of all this here. So now my screen is up there. Now I may do a PowerPoint presentation here to display there for the audience out here. If the audience cannot hear me talk, I can get a belt pack B or handheld B, not the A. That is for Albany room only when using the single room. Turn this on. Now I can talk over here, and nobody in this room beside me could hear me with the partition up. The audio only comes out into the Atlanta room. So this is for presentations only and playing movies on a DVD player. That's it. You cannot do video conference through this room when using it just by itself. If you're using both rooms, you may utilize the Atlanta room for video conference also. But your PC has to be plugged into the Albany room. It cannot be plugged in to the Atlanta room. The Atlanta room does not have a USB to carry the microphone audio or the audio coming back from the WebEx far end back to the speakers. So when using video conference, use the Albany room. If you choose to use both rooms, you may choose the option in the Albany room to use both rooms. Do not start the WebEx meeting or PC conference while in the Atlanta room. This room will not work. Even if you do choose to use both rooms and the partition is up, it will give you an option to use PC conference, but you have no plugs here to plug in the audio source to get it back. Just hope I'm making that extremely clear. This room used by itself is for presentation and DVD player only. The Albany room can be used for WebEx, Skype, basically your PC conference. It can be used for DVD player if the DVD player is not being used in this room. It can be used for audio calls, so an audio conference. It can also be used for just presentation only. It has all the features in the Albany room. If you would like to take those features that you can use in the Albany room and apply them to the Atlanta room, you would start your meeting in the Albany room and then choose to use both rooms. Just hope I'm making that extremely clear so nobody gets confused on that. But that's pretty much it. You have the same thing here, wireless presentation, or wired presentation and wireless presentation. Note that if you use wireless presentation in the Atlanta room, it says Atlanta room on it. It's a different IP address than the Albany room. So you'll need to connect to the Atlanta room Wi-Fi, and the code's at the top right hand corner, 1166. We went over that in the previous video where I showed how to connect to wireless. So I'm not going to run back over all that again. If you need to know how to connect to the wireless presentation, just jump back over to that video that I did in the Albany room, and it'll show you exactly how to connect to it. Note, don't connect to the Albany room Wi-Fi if you're using wireless presentation in the Atlanta room only. It says Atlanta room at the top right there. You're going to connect to the Atlanta Wi-Fi. The password to every one of them, if you're connecting to Albany, it's Albany 123. If you're connecting to Atlanta, it's Atlanta 123. If you're connecting in the Savannah room, it's Savannah 123 for the passwords. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. All right, thanks.